And we are on top of breaking news right now along the Ohio River in downtown Cincinnati, where a young mom's body was dumped, stabbed repeatedly. Her 3-year-old son is still missing at this hour.
I still have nightmares about this, and it's a gruesome case. I cannot even imagine what that little boy was going through.
He did attempt to present himself with disorganized speech, but had difficulty maintaining that because he was not actually experiencing disorganization.
Dr. Sutton.
3:30 in the morning, Purple People Bridge, Cincinnati, Ohio, December 12, 2020. A security guard is doing his rounds when he notices something near the edge of the bridge. A large bag, heavy, out of place. He almost kept walking, but something about it wouldn't let him. He nudged it with his foot. It shifted, fell over, hit the ground with a thud that didn't sound right. He went closer. The bag had started to open, and what he saw inside, he said it looked like maybe Halloween props, a mannequin, something fake, until it wasn't.
Cincinnati 911, what is the address of your emergency?
I found a dead body. Somebody threw a bag like on the edge of the bridge, and my curiosity got the best of me. So I got up there and knocked it down, and it was heavy. It hit the ground. It's like a body bag. Yeah, I'm almost 60 years old, and I've never had anything like this.
Right.
I never thought, this is crazy.
Inside that bag was 29-year-old Nyteisha Lattimore, a certified nurse, a devoted mother, stabbed 11 times. The coroner confirmed she'd been dead for nearly a week before her body was dumped here. But that's not even the part that stopped investigators cold. Next to her body was a Paw Patrol blanket, sucked in red fluids. And somewhere out there, her 3-year-old son Nylo was missing. No sign of him, no trace, just an empty stroller pulled from the Ohio River. Here's what makes this case one of the most disturbing Cincinnati has ever seen. Nitishia wasn't killed on that bridge. She was killed inside her own home, and the man who did it stayed in that apartment with her dead body for 5 days before he ever moved her. 5 days. And before he dumped her, he had already gone back for Nylo. Could someone really be that calculated, that cold and cruel? By the end of this video, you'll have your answer. You're watching Hidden Crime Network. Walnut Hills is the kind of Cincinnati neighborhood where life happens out in the open. People are around. Neighbors share walls, share hallways, share the sounds of each other's daily lives. The kind of place where, if something goes wrong, someone should notice. Someone should say something. Nitishia was 29 years old, a certified nurse, not just by title, but by nature. The kind of person who genuinely cared about people, who showed up for others the way she showed up for work. Her family described her as a firecracker, someone with an infectious energy, always someone people could go to. And she was a mother, a deeply, fiercely devoted mother. She had an older son, and then there was Nylo, 3 years old, the light of her life.
Talk. 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 Say hi. Talk. Wave. Say hi. Say bye-bye.
Family said those two were absolutely glued at the hip, inseparable. Nylo's father, Antonio Hughes, stayed close even after he and Nitishia went their separate ways, because that little boy was everything to both of them. Antonio would describe him to be shy, he would be nervous, he would hide, but at the end of the day, once he gets to know you, he's a sweet kid, you'd love him. And as of December 4th, 2020, nobody had seen or heard from either of them. So when the calls started going unanswered, when the messages stopped getting replies, the people who loved her knew something was very, very wrong. December 4th, 2020 was the last day anyone saw Nyteisha Lattimore and her 3-year-old son Nylo alive. After that, nothing. Antonio Hughes, Nylo's father, started calling. No answer. He tried again and again. He hadn't seen his son since the 4th and couldn't get through to Nyteisha either. That alone was unusual. But as the hours stretched into a full day, then 2, the unease turned into something heavier. It wasn't just Antonio. Nobody was hearing from her. Not her aunt, not her friends, not the family members who spoke to her regularly. For a woman described as always present, silence was deafening. And then, on December 12th, the body found at the Purple People Bridge was identified. It was her. It was Nitishia. And the moment that identification came through, a second wave of horror hit everyone simultaneously. If Nitishia was on that bridge, where was Nylo?
This is a WCPO9 breaking news alert.
And we are on top of breaking news right now along the Ohio River in downtown Cincinnati, where a young mom's body was dumped, stabbed repeatedly. Her 3-year-old son is still missing at this hour. There has been a frantic search for that little boy for the past several hours. Let's get right out to reporter Josh Bazan live near the Purple People Bridge. Josh, you just saw search crews pull out of the Ohio River a little bit ago.
The family members, as you say, came down here where police found the body of 29-year-old Nyteisha Lattimore. There's no other sign of the woman's missing son. A dive team with the Hamilton County Police Association Underwater Search and Recovery Unit combed the bottom of the Ohio River near the base of the Purple People Bridge Sunday afternoon. After more than an hour in the water, they cleared out. Cincinnati police did not provide any more information on scene. We know this is near the location where officers found Lattimore after she was stabbed to death.
Cincinnati police wasted no time. A missing persons alert went out for the 3-year-old immediately. The last confirmed sighting of him was December 4th, the same day Nyteisha was last seen alive. 8 days. That little boy had been missing for 8 days and nobody had known. Police now had a body, a grieving father, a missing child, and absolutely no answers. That was about to change.
The missing persons alert went out and Cincinnati responded almost immediately. #FindNylo started trending. People who had never met this family, never set foot in Walnut Hills, never heard the name Lattimore before that week, were showing up, organizing, searching, praying. Dive teams from the Hamilton County Police Association went into the Ohio River near the base of the Purple People Bridge. Mounted units on horseback combed the surrounding areas. Dogs, helicopters, drones, volunteers working alongside law enforcement in the freezing December cold. One of Nyteisha's neighbors, Chad Heegler, had known Nylo from the building. He couldn't stay home.
It's been the only thing on my mind since I found out, and my wife and I have both lost a couple of nights of sleep.
Chad Heegler lives in the same building as 3-year-old Nylo Lattimore, who he says is always smiling, always happy.
Energetic, full of life. He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart.
My main concern right now is that the little boy is somehow found safe.
While also processing the unthinkable.
Anybody dying is heartbreaking, but for a little boy to lose their mom and then not know where that little kid is it's devastating.
But then the searches started turning up things nobody wanted to find. Nylo's pushchair, his stroller, was pulled from the Ohio River, empty. And then came the confirmation that made everyone's worst fears real. The Paw Patrol blanket found with Nyteisha's body, the one sucked in red fluids, was tested. It was Nylo's blood. That little boy had been at that bridge. Search teams expanded their efforts across 180 miles of river, crossing 3 states, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. Mounted patrols, drone units, water teams. They gave everything they had.
I'd be at the river and just be thinking, like, wow, my son, I'm ever going to bury my son. It's messed up in the mind that, that he didn't understand that she trusted him. Even with my son, that it hurt me the most.
After days of searching, police made the announcement that the family had been dreading. This was no longer a rescue mission. 3-year-old Nylo Lattimore was presumed gone, but his body had not been found. And the question that had been building since the moment that alert went out was now impossible to ignore. Who had done this? Investigators moved fast. When a mother is murdered and her child goes missing, the first question law enforcement asks is simple: who had access? Who was in her life? Who was inside that apartment? And one name kept coming up. Deshawn Brown, 20 years old. He had been staying in Nyteisha's apartment in Walnut Hills, temporarily. They had met on the dating app Tinder and started a relationship. But that relationship had ended, and when it did, Nyteisha, being the person she was, allowed Brown to stay until he could find somewhere else to go. Her uncle Marlon would later explain it plainly. She was fiercely independent. She didn't need Brown financially. She didn't need him emotionally. This was a roof over his head while he figured things out. Nothing more, nothing less. But here's what investigators found when they started pulling Brown's records. He had a criminal history, a misdemeanor assault conviction from earlier in 2020. And as recently as December 3rd, just one day before Nyteisha and Nylo were last seen alive, Montgomery County had been looking for him. He had missed 2 probation appearances. Then they pulled his phone, his Google search history, his movements. And what they found in those searches, the timestamps, the patterns, the specific things he had been looking up, told investigators something that changed the entire nature of this case. This was not a crime of impulse. This was not a moment of rage that spiraled out of control. Based on his search history, his conversations with people close to him, and witness statements given to police, Deshawn Brown had been planning to end Nyteisha Lattimore and her 3-year-old son, Nylo, for at least 2 months before he actually did it. 2 months. While Nyteisha was going to work, while Nylo was watching SpongeBob with his dad, while this family was simply living their lives, Brown had a plan. Brown was taken into custody on suspicion of murder, and now investigators needed to understand one thing above everything else: why.
Earlier in 2020, Nyteisha had been pregnant with Deshawn Brown's child. She suffered a miscarriage. But Deshawn Brown told people something different. He told people she had killed his baby, deliberately, intentionally, that she had made a choice to end that pregnancy and robbed him of his child. He took a tragedy, one that Nyteisha herself had to carry, and twisted it into a murder in his own mind. And then he decided she deserved to pay for it. Not just her, Nylo too, a 3-year-old boy who had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. Witnesses told police that Brown had been openly discussing his plans to kill both of them. Not whispering, not hinting, openly to people around him for months. Detective Kimberly Kelly, who testified in court, confirmed this was the stated motive. Brown viewed the miscarriage as a deliberate act and had made clear, repeatedly, that he intended to make Nyteisha pay for it.
The Hamilton County Grand Jury has just returned an indictment against Deshawn Brown for the murder of Nyteisha Lattimore and Nylo Lattimore. This charge that the grand jury returned includes the potential penalty of death for what he did to these 2 people. I still have nightmares about this, and it's a gruesome case. I cannot even imagine what that little boy was going through. Anyway, any other questions? Yes?
Nyteisha's apartment, Walnut Hills, Cincinnati. Brown attacked her with a knife. 11 stab wounds to the neck.
The attack was so fatal, blood seeped through the floor into the apartment below.
The neighbor downstairs called maintenance about brownish water coming through her ceiling. She had no idea what it was. Brown's immediate response? Strip the bedding, Google how to clean bloodstains. Then he picked up Nyteisha's phone, opened her Facebook, and posted as her, "I love him forever, Deshawn Brown." A dead woman's account used to make the world think she was still alive. The next morning, December 6th, Brown put Nylo in his stroller and walked him to the Purple People Bridge and threw him in. Cincinnati police have arrested 20-year-old Deshawn Brown for murder.
Montgomery County court records show Brown is from Trotwood and was on probation for a misdemeanor assault charge.
Tonight, a new motive revealed for the killings of a 3-year-old and his mother. Deshawn Brown is accused of murdering Nyteisha Lattimore and her son Nylo in 2020. Reporter Courtney Francisco joins us live now. And Courtney, detectives say this motive could have stemmed from a miscarriage that woman had?
That's the story a detective told the judge on the stand today. We were here for a hearing on 2 things: for the accused killer's bond and his interrogation video. And when I called Nylo's father to let him know I had an update, he told me when he answered the phone he was hoping so much that someone had found his son.
Prosecutors confirmed it. Nylo Lattimore was alive when he went into that freezing river. He was 3 years old. Brown walked back to the apartment and stayed 5 more days, continuing the Facebook posts, responding to messages as Nitishia, searching Google for body bags, river depth, decomposition timelines. On December 11th, he purchased a body bag on eBay. That night, CCTV captured him moving through the hallway carrying a large white bag. He ordered an Uber, told the driver he was moving old clothes from a fight. At the Purple People Bridge, he tried to throw her body into the river. The bag snagged on a ledge, wouldn't go over. He left it there and walked away. 6 hours later, a security guard on routine patrol found it. The Uber driver's testimony, the smell, the story about old clothes, all of it now sitting in front of investigators. Nyteisha's phone records showed Facebook posts made after her death, traced directly back to Brown. Then the Google search history: bridges, blood stain removal, body bags, river depth, decomposition timelines. Every search, every timestamp, a digital trail he apparently thought would disappear. It didn't. Brown was brought in, 10-hour interrogation. Detectives dismantled every lie methodically. When they confronted him about claiming he'd spoken to Nyteisha recently, knowing she'd been dead nearly a week.
Why did you tell me you talked to her today?
I mean, I did talk to her today.
But you couldn't. She was dead in a bag and under the bridge.
I'm telling you, she's been dead for days.
And she called me today, but it might have not been at night.
Look, man, this ain't ghost hunters.
No.
Brown was charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder, gross abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. The death penalty was on the table. But getting to that courtroom was going to take 5 years. Brown pleaded not guilty. His defense strategy? Mental illness, severe bipolar disorder, ineligible for the death penalty, not competent to stand trial. Multiple competency evaluations, hearing after hearing, year after year. But the prosecution's psychologist flagged something. Brown's behavior in evaluations looked less like genuine psychiatric disorder and more like a performance, deliberately slowed speech, calculated inconsistencies, behaviors that shifted depending on who was watching. A 20-day observation at Summit Behavioral Health confirmed it. His behaviors didn't align with a genuine diagnosable condition. The delays continued anyway. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. And through all of it, Antonio kept showing up to that courtroom, sitting there, listening, a father who couldn't bury his son, watching a man perform mental illness to avoid accountability. Then, June 23, 2022, something broke.
Base, can we get back up in 560 now?
Chill out, Lou. Take him. Take him there. No. Come with me. All right, go.
Chill out. Chill out.
Antonio lunged at Brown from behind, punched him repeatedly, head, neck, shoulders. Deputies wrestled him to the ground. He kept fighting. He was removed, charged with contempt, sentenced to 7 days. Could you blame him? September 5th, 2025, judge ruled Brown competent to stand trial. 5 days later, Brown pleaded guilty. 2 counts of aggravated murder, life without parole, death penalty removed via plea. DA Connie Pillich at sentencing. These ruthless acts have left an indelible mark on this community and on everyone who loved Nyteisha and Nylo. Brown sat silent, disengaged, no remorse. But the family still didn't have Nylo. The verdict came, but Nylo didn't. His body has never been recovered. To this day, his Charlie Project profile remains active, listed as missing, foul play suspected. A 3-year-old boy with a page on a missing persons database. That's what Brown left behind. At sentencing, Nylo's grandfather Roderick stood up and faced Brown directly. "You had no right to take them from us. Go to hell."
Deshawn Brown deserves nothing less than the death penalty. That's exactly what you deserve. No mercy at all.
Roderick's wife passed away after the murders. He believes the grief contributed. One act of violence, and it kept taking. Antonio never stopped going to that river. "I don't want to deal with not finding my son. I just want to at least give him a proper burial." Nitishia was laid to rest at Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati. For Nylo's 4th birthday, the family gathered anyway. Cake, balloons, potato chips, his favorite toys. They celebrated him the only way they could. His Uncle Marlon said it plainly. "You can never heal from something like this. Never. Somewhere in that river, a little boy is still waiting to come home."
It be given to those that risk their lives to go into this river, which while it looks like it's calm, is really under the water going very, very fast and is very a dangerous situation for those folks that are risking their lives to help me.
This case is not isolated. The same year Nyteisha and Nylo were killed, James Hutchinson threw his 4-year-old son into the same river, the Ohio, after killing the boy's mother. Same river, same year, same erasure of an entire family. That is not coincidence. That is a pattern playing out across America. Men who cannot control women, choosing instead to destroy them. And when children are in the way, the children go too. Domestic violence doesn't stop at the partner. It reaches children, unborn babies, grandparents who die of broken hearts years later. And the miscarriage, something no woman can control, was weaponized. Brown turned Nyteisha's private grief into a justification for murder. That is what unchecked resentment looks like when it's given a roof and a key. The warning signs were there. Brown had been openly discussing his plans for 2 months. People heard it. Nobody stopped it. So if someone in your life carries that kind of resentment, the kind that blames you for things beyond your control, the kind that feels entitled to punish you, believe what you're seeing. Kindness is not an invitation for violence. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. They deserved more than what happened to them, and they deserve more than being reduced to a headline. If this story moved you, share it. Every time someone shares it, Nylo's name travels further. And for a little boy with no grave, that matters more than you know. If you're not already part of this community, subscribe. Every week we cover stories like this one, not just to inform, but to make sure the people we lost are never forgotten. Nyteisha, Nylo, we remember you. Until next time, remember that not everyone who needs your help deserves access to your life. Compassion has a place, but so does discernment. Know the difference before it costs you everything. Stay safe, stay wise, and thank you for joining us today. See you in the next story from Hidden Crime Network. Bye for now.